Hi, everybody. Today we are talking about grief during COVID and just the holidays coming up. And I'm joined by Amy Stapleton, who's the manager of bereavement services for Hospice of the Chesapeake Life Center. So, Amy, thanks for taking some time today to talk, and appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Tammy.
So the holidays are coming up, and the holidays this year are hard for anyone grieving. We know that. But COVID-19 has added this whole other layer. Let's start with that a little bit. What are some things that you're seeing that people are talking about related to COVID specifically?
Yeah, so we know already that COVID has really interrupted and impacted the grief process for people who have had physical losses and deaths throughout the pandemic, since the pandemic started. So disrupting rituals of mourning, the way that the community gathers often after a death, the way that family comes together, and honestly neighbors and communities come together to support one another when there's been a death. So yeah, we have culturally in many ways adapted. Some people are having online memorial services and finding other ways to connect with loved ones and honor the dead. But really, as we approach the holidays, as you say, it's a whole new level of grief, because as we know, grief can be very isolating, and the holidays often trip us up in our grief. It's a really tender time for so many people. And of course, COVID adds the concerns around physical and just safety, honestly, as well as the inability to get together. And again, those rituals that we often associate with the holidays, whether it's sharing a meal together or a holiday gathering, or just being able to see family and friends, that has an entirely new meaning this year.
Absolutely.
So all the restrictions, from limiting travel to social distancing to wearing masks, it really does increase our feelings of loss in transition, because
and that's everyone. I mean, that's
everywhere. And it's as I sit with grievers and listen to them, one of the things we talk about is kind of what's lost and what remains.
Okay.
But really this year, what we notice is kind of everybody's often in the same boat, everything is different. So I talk to family members who, they're not trying to simply recreate a tradition that their loved one had been a part of in the past, because they can't. So really, whether it's ordering pizza or Thai food for Thanksgiving, or having a family Zoom call, but people remaining in their own homes, there is so much that's going to be different during this holiday season. And so I think it's important that people be mindful that grief can feel sharper, that it can feel more intense, that the isolation can feel more these days, especially when there's less light and more opportunity to see and connect with others.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, however, that there aren't ways to find sources of support during the holidays or ways to cope. I still would really encourage people to connect with their loved ones, to find a grief support group. I'll just go ahead and plug it now, but we are having here at the Chesapeake Life Center Living with Loss Through the Holidays, which is going to be a virtual event coming up on December 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. And that's something that people from the comfort of their own homes can just either call in or access through Zoom. And we're going to talk about some of the more specific ways to honor both our grief during the holiday season, but also the unique grief that these COVID times presents us with.
Right.
And then we're also going to incorporate some rituals of ways of connecting with our loved ones during the holiday season, the loved ones that we love who have died. So
Yeah, that's great that that's being offered. I think especially in a virtual format and this time of year and like you said, everything being so compounded. I'm curious about families versus adults, young children, teenagers. Are you seeing some sort of difference between the different age groups as far as what's happening with them and grief and COVID this year?
Yeah, yes. Grief in the holidays does look different across the age groups. You know, as adults, we can kind of take a long view often, recognizing that grief changes over time, that, you know, what we're experiencing now won't necessarily feel this way forever. But for kids, you know, many of them are still really committed to the magic of the season. They want to do what they've always done. They want to feel the excitement and energy around the season. So, like we often talk about, their grief process is different than adults. So it's not unheard of that they, you know, are going to think that this is going to be the holiday season that it's always been, and even feel some excitement about it. And it kind of adds a layer of burden to families and caregivers and parents to have to say, you know what, it's going to be a little different this year, but we can still make it fun, even in our grief. I really want to encourage people to think about rituals that, you know, bring their loved ones into the present at the holiday season. So if it's something like lighting a candle, or I have some families that are actually going to set a plate for their loved one at the table, or simply go around and say what they're grateful for, something that their loved one gave them as a gift to remember. And you know, with kids, they want something tangible. So we've, in our group here for children, we've made gratitude jars, and kids are really mindful of what they're thankful for. Okay. And then we'll make a couple of different ornaments and lanterns of light. So different ways that they will bring their loved ones with them during this holiday season. With teens, it's somewhat different. You know, the challenges of online school and the real lack of opportunities to gather for teenagers it's honestly weighing heavy on them. Our Phoenix support group here at the Life Center last month had the largest attendance ever since the pandemic started. And there is just a need for people to be seen and heard, especially these teens who normally would be interacting with their friends, but really missing connecting. And so I think there's some unique ways that teens are grieving. So to be mindful of that, to really invite your teen and your child to be a part of your holiday planning, to maybe encourage them to think of something that they want to do to contribute to a meal, or a ritual, or, you know, something to make the holiday special for the family, and to really just have everyone honor their grief and how different it is this year and what those unique needs are for each age group.
Right. I think that you hit on a really, really specific thing too, that it's so different this year. I mean, I don't know how many times we can say that, but this year is definitely, 2020 has been different in a lot of ways. Are there some things that people should be aware of? I don't know if trigger is the right word, or sort of things that kind of can amplify their grief, that just to make people aware of, or that you've experienced in your work.
Yeah, so you know, that happens every holiday season, whether that's somebody's pulling out decorations and they remember all the holidays of the past, or they hear a song on the radio and they remember. One of the things we talk about in grief is secondary losses, and these secondary losses occur over time. It's kind of like a ripple effect of grief. You know, when there's first a physical death, we immediately feel the loss of their presence, the loss of their being with us. But there are other losses that come throughout time, like again, who will I spend the holidays with? Pulling out ornaments or lighting special candles and remembering holidays of the past can take us back to those feelings of loss. And so it's not uncommon to feel, I think, the unique kind of nature of grief during the holiday season.
Like the realization, like, oh, over again, like, okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter how long ago the grief or loss was, that grief kind of lives in us. And we remember with each season. So I think it's really important to kind of plan ahead, to give yourself permission to grieve and to feel and to not put a lot of expectations on yourself for how this holiday should be, but really just kind of try to embrace that, maybe it will be different this year, and it doesn't mean that it has to be different always, and next year you don't have to do the same thing.
Right.
But for now, I think just a lot of compassion, self-compassion, but also grace for your family, grace for your friends, to recognize that it will be different for everybody this year, especially those who are grieving.
Right. You mentioned a little bit a minute ago, but I wondered if you could talk a little bit more about the workshop that's coming up. So it's Living with Loss. It's going to be virtual, you said. And so that means people could phone in or access it via Zoom. It's the 3rd of December, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And from time again, 6 p.m.?
6 to 8 p.m. There's a $5 charge. They will, all participants will receive a packet in the mail with information specific on coping through the holidays. We'll have a lot of good discussion. There will be some opportunities for journaling and conversation. And we're really hoping to just accompany people not only through this season, but this really unique time during COVID, the holidays, and grief. This is kind of intersecting in a way that we've never had before. Absolutely. And so wanting to just provide people with resources and a place to connect.
Absolutely. If somebody's interested in participating in that, what do they need to do?
You can find information on our website. You could also call the Chesapeake Life Center directly at 410-987-2129. Or we have a 800 number as well, which is 888-501-7077. Okay. So we'll take your information, be sure to include you in our list to send out an invite, and would love to have anyone and everyone join us via Zoom.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What a great resource. Okay, thanks, Amy. Thanks for taking time to talk about this complicated season and COVID and grief. And I appreciate you sharing some thoughts and some resources.
Thank you, Tammy. And I really hope people will reach out and connect with us, connect with their family and friends, however they can be. And just wish everyone peace during this holiday season and the days ahead.
Absolutely, absolutely. I also want to be sure to thank the John and Kathy Belcher Institute for their generous support of the community education programs at Hospice of the Chesapeake. Thanks.